everyone. I'm Kim Manis, and I'm really excited to be here at Data Toboggan for the second time. So I'm going to kick it off and cover a few exciting new releases that have come out over the last couple months across Synapse and Power BI. But first, I wanted to just talk a bit about the Microsoft Intelligence Platform. With the data coming from every which way, every device, every sensor, every employee, how do you turn data into a competitive advantage? And that's really what we're doing here at the Intelligence Platform. We're really trying to make sure that we drive a data culture from every decision, every team, every scale, large and small. And when I talk about the Intelligence Platform, we're really covering 4 main areas: data integration, analytics, artificial intelligence, and business intelligence. And the cool thing about the Microsoft Intelligence Platform is you're not making a compromise when you're going with Microsoft here, because we are the only vendor where we're a leader in all 4 of these magic quadrants. So of course, you have best of breed for each of these workloads, and we get better and better when you use them together. And there's a ton of momentum. There's hundreds of thousands of organizations, tens of millions of users across tons of countries, exabytes of data flowing through our systems. And there's a ton of innovation happening here, month over month, just a ton shipping from our teams across Azure Data Factory, Power BI, Synapse. And so you're going to continue to see more here. And, our community is growing faster than ever. We have 1.6 million community members across tons of countries, over 300 independent user groups. So I just wanted to start by saying thank you. Thank you to this community. Thank you all for tuning in, and keep the feedback coming to our team. So now I'm going to just do a quick tour of a couple things that have been new in the last few months, especially since Build, and highlight some of my favorites. So the first one is the Microsoft Intelligent Data Platform. And Rohan Kumar announced this at Build. And I wanted to talk a bit about what this is. We're laser focused on providing a unified platform that deeply and securely integrates the best in class across databases, analytics, and governance. We're solving these problems by creating a unified end-to-end platform to address these challenges, as opposed to you all stringing everything together and trying to figure out how to make these things work. And I'll talk through a couple examples of that. The first one I'm really excited about is Synapse Link. So Synapse Link allows you to simply pull your operational data into Synapse quickly and run scalable analytics in near real time, and then easily visualize it in Power BI. You can do all this without impacting the performance and scale of your operational databases. So this is really different from the old world platforms like Teradata, where you'd have to load all this stuff in an expensive ETL process, manage it. It would take days and weeks. And if it broke, you'd have to figure out how it broke. And so this is getting enabled for customers by this tight integration between our database platform and Synapse using a single click. Today, over 10 million Azure SQL databases globally can now leverage this capability. And that's on top of Synapse Link for Cosmos DB and Synapse Link for Dataverse that already are out there. The other thing I wanted to call out is data governance. This cannot be an afterthought. The growth of data estates is just too high, and doing it after the fact and relying on manual processes is just too risky. So Microsoft Purview is our always-on governance and compliance platform, and it brings together all of our data governance and compliance capabilities under one umbrella. So things like automatically mapping and classifying data at scale, a data catalog that makes it really easy for data consumers to find content, and then, of course, the ability to visualize and govern those data assets, whether they're on-prem, in the cloud, in Microsoft Cloud, or in other clouds. And then this is deeply integrated with the rest of the Microsoft clouds. So the Microsoft Intelligent Data Platform unlocks access and governance to all your data to all the business users, whether they live in the Power Platform, they live in Dynamics, or they live in Office. So I wanted to take a minute and show you a quick demo of the Intelligent Data Platform in action. So in this demo, we'll show sensitivity labels that are defined in Purview and that they flow through Synapse into Power BI. And even when they're exported from Power BI into Excel, that sensitivity label carries with it. So this empowers business users to get their work done, to use data to make decisions, but it keeps the data secure and governed. So let's take a look at the demo.
Sensitivity labels that can be defined by information protection admins in Microsoft Purview Information Protection and used in Office, Power BI, and Microsoft Purview Governance are now can be applied on sensitive data in Synapse. Here I can see how I can apply the same sensitivity labels I can use in Office on sensitive data in Synapse. Once the sensitivity level is applied, every time that Power BI will fetch this data, Power BI will also know the sensitivity level of this data, and if necessary, automatically apply the sensitivity level on Power BI dataset and all downstream reports. This way, every time that end user consumes Power BI reports with data coming from Synapse, they will automatically see the sensitivity level on the report header and know how to treat the sensitive data. When these users also export the data to Office, which is very common use case, the sensitivity label and protection automatically applied on Office files. This way, we ensure that the data is protected end-to-end, starting from Synapse through Power BI and to Office.
Cool. So that was the Microsoft Intelligent Data Platform. Now I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about Power BI. And we announced a really exciting new capability called Data Marts in Power BI. So what are Data Marts? They're a self-service capability in Power BI that provide a simple, frictionless experience to ingest data from different sources. It extracts, transforms, loads the data through Power Query, and then generates a self-tuning data set ready to build reports off of. The data mart creator, whether it's a business user or an analyst or even a data scientist or data engineer, they can define relationships and policies in the data mart, and those get leveraged downstream in the BI model. So you don't have to duplicate that effort twice. In addition, users can also query these data marts using familiar T-SQL tools for further analysis. So for users, this really improves end user response time because they have access to the specific types of data they need when they need it. It's also lower cost than often implementing a full data warehouse when maybe that's not what you need in that scenario. And it's easy to comprehend for the business user rather than looking at the entirety of a data warehouse. They can just bring in the data that's relevant to them and they can mash it up with other data sources that might not sit in their data warehouse. So data marts consist of a few things. The first, ingest and prep. So you can easily connect to over 150 data sources through Power Query, and then capabilities like incremental refresh make it really trivial to keep the data up to date. And then business users can build unified semantic models using the full power of Power BI web authoring. So you can add business logic, you can write DAX measures, you can build relationships all on the web, no desktop needed. And then it's easy to govern. So built-in role-level security, it keeps AD and RLS in sync. So no matter who's looking at it, you're sure that the right people are seeing the right content. And then as we saw earlier with sensitivity labels, those apply to data marts as well. So those sensitivity labels apply from the source and then downstream to the data sets and even when they get exported into Excel. And then, of course, data marts are fully integrated in Power BI. So the way you share data, the way you discover data, connecting to data in Teams and Excel, it's all the same. So for business users, it just makes it really easy to get up and running with a data mart. So I want to take a look at a demo here. So let's go to Priya to see it in action.
I'm in my Power BI workspace, which is a premium per user workspace. I see that I can create a new artifact type called data mart. I click on this and a data mart, which is a fully managed SQL database, is created for me. I have access to over 150 different data sources. For this demo, I have data in my SQL Server database and I want to do order analytics. So I'm going to choose this. I go ahead and enter my server details, my database name, and enter my credentials. And I click Next. When I am authenticated, I am presented with the full list of tables I have access to. I go ahead and I choose a few tables. I can see the data along the way, and I ask Data Mart to select all the related tables. Now I'm ready to start transforming my data. Transforming data is a very familiar Power Query transformation experience. I can do so many different transforms without having to write a single line of code. I can filter rows, do group bys, and when I'm done, I hit save. Data Mart with the tables are automatically created for me. A data flow with the ETL is also generated, and data is loaded. I'm now ready to start exploring the data in the various tables. I can explore data by writing a query. I go ahead and click on New Query. Now this brings me to a visual query building experience. I can just build a query by dragging and dropping the tables onto the canvas. For this demo, I drag and drop the customers and the orders tables, and I can see the data in the tables every step of the way. Data Marts also comes with a SQL editor with full IntelliSense. As a pro who knows T-SQL, I can write my own SQL query. Here I have a SQL query joining the orders tables and the customers tables just like we did before. Lastly, let me show you how easy it is to connect to this data mart using any SQL tool. I go into the settings of the data mart, get the SQL endpoint, and open up SQL Server Management Studio and connect to this data mart. I can execute my SQL query just like I normally would and explore the data. That's how easy it is to ingest and prep data. In Power BI, datasets have the metrics the business wants to track. With Data Mart, I do not need to create the dataset. One is generated for me. Now, before I show you how to set up these measures, a performant Data Mart needs relationships between tables. When I click on the modeling view in the Data Mart, I see the Data Mart has already detected relationships from the data source. I can view the details, modify them, and easily add my own relationships by just dragging and dropping the fields from the different tables. This is important if I decide to bring in my own data and blend with this data. Now the Data Mart comes BI ready. I can create measures, which are the business semantics right within this UI. I create a new measure under the orders table called total freight as a sum of freight by writing DAX code. I have full DAX editor with IntelliSense right here. I can now see this measure I just created under my orders table. This is the first time you're seeing modeling on the web. Gradually, you'll be able to do everything in Power BI desktop right here. Data Mart brings the relational database model and the semantic model together in the simple interface and keeps them both in sync. Now, I want to set up refresh on my Data Mart. Now, I have full refresh capability, but what I'm really interested in is incremental refresh. As data grows, I want to make sure that my users' reports are updated quickly. So incremental refresh lets me bring in data that's changed in a table. Here, I'm setting up incremental refresh on the orders table by specifying a few parameters, and that's it. I'm done. Now, the orders table will be updated incrementally when data changes. I want to share this data mart with Arun. I pick his name and go ahead and grant him access. Now, Arun will receive an email with a link to this data mart. When he opens the data mart, he's taken directly to the data mart in the data hub. Let me show you the experience. I'm in the data hub. I go ahead and I can see the data mart I just created. When I click on it, I'm taken to a page where I can see actions I can take. I see the TDS endpoint and I can use that to connect to this data mart with SQL. I click on Create from Scratch and I go ahead and see the data set that was auto-generated by the data mart. I see all of the tables. If you recall, I had the order table, and in the orders table, I had created a new measure under a display folder called freight. And I see it all here. I just want to go ahead and test total freight. I drop it in the canvas and I see my total freight. That's it. From this point on, I can start building the report and I can build amazing reports just like this one very easily with data marts.
Cool. So that was Data Mart. Super excited about that. It's now available in public preview, so go try it in Power BI. The last thing I wanted to talk about is Synapse database templates, which is now generally available and just went GA a couple months ago. So for those that aren't familiar, database templates solve a couple problems. Really, it's hard to know where to even start when building a data warehouse. What tables you need, what relationships, what entities, like how do these things all fit together? And so Azure Synapse ships with a set of database templates out of the box, which accelerate time to deployment by basically giving you a starting point. There's 18 industry templates, thousands of entities, thousands of attributes, and a low-code designer with it. So you can go ahead and select what aspects of the templates you want to use. You can customize them. It comes full with metadata on each field, what it means, and you can go customize that. And the cool part is when a user connects to this data warehouse downstream in Power BI, all that metadata comes with it, whether it's the relationships that you formed here or the metadata about the tables and the fields and their descriptions. So this has been really popular with customers in getting started. It's also deeply integrated with Azure Data Lake Gen 2, so you can go ahead and easily bring your data in through pipelines and use lake databases to go build this, and then, of course, work with Spark and everything else in Synapse. And for example, I'll show you the 18 different industry models we support, 30,000 different attributes. So there's a ton of content in there, and I definitely recommend checking it out, exploring it. I'm sure you'll learn more about database templates throughout this conference. So I just want to end off by talking about where to go next. So definitely make sure that you engage in the community, whether it's the Power BI community, the Synapse community, both. On both of them, we have a monthly blog where you can go and see what's shipping, what's come up lately, because a lot is changing every month, every week, and we want to keep you posted on the Power BI blog and on the Synapse blog. We also have ideas forums and learning paths, so if you want to tell us what you want to see, if you want to learn how to get started, we have great links for those. So definitely check them out and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thanks again.